Welcome and thank you for joining me for today's educational class. My name is Joseph Budd and I'm a certified financial planner and managing partner with Budd Wealth Management. We have developed and refined a process over the last 20 years to work with families that aspire to a work optional lifestyle. We hope to put all the pieces of the financial puzzle together for our clients. Connect with us on LinkedIn and Facebook, where we post interesting personal finance content and invitations to future events like this on a regular basis. Also visit our website at buddwealth.com. You will receive a link to the recording from this presentation. Our world is transforming at an unprecedented pace, and as a result, the future may arrive faster than investors expect. The challenges that lie before us have spurred innovation as a matter of necessity. The world will continue to change rapidly. As it does, new industries will emerge, living standards will continue to rise, and wealth will recover. Today, we will discuss how innovation can drive change and continue to transform the world in the decade ahead to help us reach a brighter tomorrow. It goes without saying how difficult this time has been for all of us. Yet the pandemic has accelerated innovation in a number of ways to help fight disease, to help keep essential goods and services flowing, and adapt our work and home lives to a new set of realities. Work standards have abruptly changed as we work from home, some for the first time, using tools like video conferencing apps. Telemedicine has become commonplace for doctors to treat and diagnose patients under social distancing guidelines. E-commerce has allowed us to obtain the things we need while sheltering in place, from groceries to cleaning supplies to a new pair of sweatpants. Online payment systems enable us to easily pay for the goods and services that we need. COVID-19 has been analyzed at the genetic level to test the population and search for an effective vaccine. At the same time, artificial intelligence is being used to expedite the process. The aftermath of the pandemic will also provide an opportunity to learn from a wide variety of social innovations and experiments, ranging from working from home and distance learning to whether or not we'll tolerate large-scale surveillance, even if it can help contain the spread of the virus. With this will come an understanding of which innovations, if adopted permanently, might provide substantial uplift to economic and social welfare. As reopening takes place, businesses of all sorts are leveraging new technologies to help get the economy back open and people back to work, with the health and safety of employees, suppliers, and customers alike as a top priority. Here are a few examples of innovations playing a part in the reopening. Screening for high body temperature has become a way of detecting if a person could possibly be suffering from symptoms of coronavirus. Using thermal imaging technology, employees can be screened upon entering the workplace to reduce the likelihood that they are entering the building and unknowingly spreading the virus. Obviously, clean surfaces are vital to prevent the transmission of any droplets that may contain the virus. While chemical cleaners are effective, the cleaning process itself puts workers at risk. To help eliminate possible human exposure, researchers at MIT developed a robotic system to disinfect surfaces using a UVC light that is built into the base of a robot. Initial testing results have been significantly impressive to suggest this could be a useful solution for a wide range of work environments, ranging from factories to supermarkets and even airports. 3D printing capabilities are pivoting to manufacturing face masks, vaccine test kits, and PPE. New technologies could continue to emerge to help employees healthy, even self-sanitizing door handles. Today, we'll discuss key trends and innovations that we believe will drive change and continue to transform our world. Today, we will discuss the rapid pace of progress across the globe, how new markets can create abundant opportunities, daily life reimagined, and finally, how to invest in the future today. Progress and innovation have been accelerated at a rapid pace. Progress is fundamentally driven by the generation and expansion of ideas. The development of those ideas often depends on resources devoted to them. One measure of this is research and development spending. This chart shows R&D spending in 4 of the world's largest economies. The interior gray circles represent R&D spending in 2000, and the larger exterior blue circles represent R&D spending in 2017. And as you can see, R&D spending has been rising steadily across all 4 economies over the past few decades, the most notable rise coming from China. Since 2000, total global R&D expenditures have nearly tripled in current dollars from 722 billion to 2.2 trillion. So what is the outcome of all of this spending on research and development? Progress and innovation can be hard to measure, but one way to gauge it is by looking at patent activity. Globally, both patent applications and grants have risen dramatically. We are living in a time of unprecedented change. Looking at the past few decades, the most recent decade has seen the rapid acceleration of innovation. If you think about major innovations of the past decades, like Wi-Fi in the 90s or the introduction of social media in the 2000s, it's easy to see just how far things have progressed. Building on innovations that preceded the 2010s were a decade of new apps and devices, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, and 4G networks. During the same time, US stocks were part of the longest bull market on record. Innovation isn't the only contributor to market performance. However, we believe there is no greater force for driving growth and creating value in the economy than innovation. Even during recessions, difficult times can open the door to significant and valuable longer-term opportunities. During the Great Financial Crisis, for example, mobile payments firm Square was founded. Airbnb and Pinterest also came to be. Apple has weathered 2 previous recessions, one in the early 2000s following the dot-com bust, and then the global financial crisis in 2007. What's more, both of these happened to coincide with the emergence of major new innovations from Apple, the first iPod and then iPhone. After the global financial crisis, 2010 kicked off with a breakthrough in artificial intelligence, IBM's Watson. The disruption brought on by the coronavirus could give innovation another opportunity to break through and surprise us again. Gains in processing speed, breakthroughs in drug therapy, and the proliferation of artificial intelligence and e-commerce across creating new markets and long-term opportunities. Innovation can create markets that didn't exist before. Let's take the smartphone, for example. When the original smartphone hit the shelves, nobody could have predicted the impact it would have. Last year alone, over 1 billion people downloaded more than 200 billion mobile apps. Smartphones have become the center of our digital lives, changing the way we interact with the world around us. Because of that, we're seeing new products, services, and businesses emerge. For example, taxis were once the preferred method of transportation, say if you needed a ride to the airport. The advent of ride-sharing apps changed that. It upended one market and created another. And while the pandemic has negatively impacted ride-sharing, it is not likely to disappear. Food delivery in many places was once limited to pizza and Chinese takeout. But now, thanks to apps like DoorDash, Grubhub, and Postmates, customers can order their favorite dish with a tap on the smartphone screen, whether they live in a city or the far-flung suburbs. When it comes to gaming, mobile became the preferred format in 2019. Compared to the console and PC gaming, revenue from mobile gaming was higher than that of PC and console combined. The smartphone is also the preferred device for podcast listeners, compared to computers, tablets, and other devices. The podcast industry is expected to double in just 3 years, with smartphones driving the upward trajectory. During the past 5 years, the number of podcast listeners on smartphones has more than quadrupled from 8.5 million in 2014 to 36.3 million in 2019. New markets, visionary leaders, and innovation companies don't only come about when times are good. Quality companies can be found regardless of where we are in a market cycle. Here are a few examples of companies that have emerged over the years to become household names, all of which can be argued are leaders in their respective industries. Does anyone know where these companies all have in common? Each one of these companies was founded during a recession. What's more, the businesses founded during the Great Financial Crisis sparked new and lasting trends in their respective industries. Venmo and Square, for example, helped solidify mobile payments and peer-to-peer transactions in the financial services industry. Airbnb and Uber innovated their business models, giving rise to the sharing economy. Recognizing that companies like these are starting and innovating all the time, even during tough times, can help investors maintain perspective. Innovation is more than just the latest technology or gadget. Advances in medicine, agriculture, communications, finance, energy, transportation, and education, they have all helped make us more prosperous today than we ever have been historically. We're wealthier. An estimated 140 million people enter the middle class each year. In 2018, the global population reached a tipping point. Half of the world is now considered middle class or wealthier. This means they can now afford to purchase non-essential items such as cars, household appliances, or travel. This is one of the biggest advancements in human history. A larger middle class with more money to spend on goods and services translates into increased consumer spending. In fact, consumer spending is expected to increase 203% by 2030. The new middle class is also spending more money on higher education. Higher education enrollments are projected to grow by roughly 200% through 2040. Health, wealth, and education, they're all interconnected. With continuous improvements to how we prevent, diagnose, and treat illnesses, we've seen a dramatic climb in global life expectancy. Innovation is sometimes thought of as an antithetical to job creation. The concern being that the more we innovate and automate, the more jobs are lost. While some job loss may be inevitable, innovation also creates jobs. The vast majority of Americans today are no longer working on farms, railways, or or as telephone operators. As economies advance, so does the workforce. And over the next decade, the fastest growing occupations are expected to be knowledge-based jobs in the fields of healthcare, technology, and renewable energy. Let's talk about how innovation impacts our everyday life. Innovation touches almost everything we do, from the way we interact with friends and family, shop, pay for goods and services, treat illness, and spend our leisure time. How we purchase and receive goods is changing commerce. Let's start with the way we shop for groceries. Over the last 25 years, there have been very few innovations in the grocery industry. For the most part, incumbents had not embraced the internet or much innovation at all. You may remember a time when you made a list, went to the grocery store, kids in tow, and finally, when you got the things you needed, you had to stand in line and wait for the cashier to scan and bag all your items. Things are quickly changing, and the pandemic has accelerated the pace. If you don't feel like going to the store, you can order your groceries online, pick them up curbside, or have them delivered to you, often in a matter of hours. What's next? Maybe instead of a delivery person, a robotic shuttle pod or drone drops your items to your door. Kroger launched an unmanned grocery delivery pilot program in Scottsdale, Arizona. This autonomous vehicle was equipped with self-driving sensors and cameras and was able to carry up to 20 grocery bags. Walmart is upping the ante. They have filed 97 new drone delivery patents with the World Intellectual Property Organization since July of 2018. The FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, is planning to enact new standards for unmanned drones, which could be the first step toward the eventual mainstream acceptance of deliveries via drones. Beyond grocery shopping, over the last 10 years, online shopping has experienced slow and steady growth from a relatively small group of consumers who frequently shopped online. As a percent of the total retail sales, it is estimated that the US e-commerce space only has 14% penetration, and it is lower internationally. While some sectors have embraced online retail, other large markets are just getting started in the e-commerce space in categories like furniture, food, beverage, and autos. Fast forward to today, and we can see how COVID-19 has already reshaped purchasing habits, with increasingly more shopping happening online as consumers practice social distancing and avoid physical contact at brick and mortar stores. E-commerce is more than online marketplace giants like Amazon or China's Alibaba. Every time an online purchase is made, there is a vast infrastructure behind the scenes required to fulfill and deliver it. Search engines, retailers, payment systems, and logistic operators will play a vital part in the e-commerce ecosystem, and all stand to benefit from the growth in online shopping. Innovation is also transforming the way we pay for goods and services. To put things in perspective, think about what you used to make sure you had on hand if you needed to make a purchase. There was a time when you needed cash or your checkbook. Now, more often, it's a debit or credit card. If you're using a mobile wallet, you can leave the cards at home and grab your smartphone instead. What's next? What if a shop's point-of-sale system and the cashier used biometric scanning to recognize your face, voice, or thumbprint and proceeded to process payment to your authorized bank account or credit card? If an industry was due for a dose of innovation, payments was it. This is an illustrative chart showing the advancement of payment systems over time. Throughout history, humans have relied on some form of payment system to purchase the goods and services we needed. In the US, not much innovation had occurred in the payment space since the credit card and debit cards of the 1950s and online payments, like PayPal in 2002. But in the past decade, that's changed, and we've seen innovation pick up speed. If there has been a one consistent theme regarding the evolution of payments, it's that we tend to prefer payments that are convenient and transactional. Globally, mobile payments have become more commonplace. Worldwide, mobile payments transaction volumes are expected to hit $1 trillion this year. This number is more than triple than it was just 4 years ago in 2016. Consider Apple Pay. In just 1 year, Apple Pay tripled their numbers of users. This is incredible rapid adoption considering the first iteration of modern technology mobile payments only came into existence between 5 and 6 years ago. The ability to move money digitally and instantly, most often through our smartphones, has helped launch new services and create new markets that have never existed before. Payment preferences vary by country. America spent the last decade upgrading card infrastructure, transitioning bank-based magnetic stripe cards to chips in 2015. These cards continue to grow, providing the backbone for e-commerce and new methods of digital payments. Devices can now turn smartphones into credit card processors, such as Square, and transactions can be securely transacted online, like PayPal. However, the underlying payment networks in America remain a bank-based system. Meanwhile, China has leapfrogged the card-based system and relies primarily on digital wallets and QR codes that run through their own big tech firms, Alipay through Alibaba and WeChat Pay through Tencent. These new systems have exploded over the last decade, with over 1 billion users on each platform. The new payment system has replaced cards and cash at registers, how families give gifts, and even how beggars ask for money, with QR codes replacing tin cups. Mobile payments in China have reached over 41 trillion. That's 277 trillion yuan annually. There are even some African countries like Kenya where mobile payment transactions are responsible for over almost half of their GDP. The global payments landscape looks far different than it did even 5 years ago and will likely undergo even more rapid changes in the decade ahead. Think about the way we prevent and treat illnesses. Let's take a simple physical exam, for example. Then it would typically require a trip to the doctor's office, a paper gown, a series of tests with the results filed away in a manila folder in your larger medical record. Now, more often, doctors and patients are connecting digitally. Many of the basic vital tests typically taken in the doctor's office can now be measured and monitored by wearable devices. Online portals give patients access to content, contact healthcare providers, schedule appointments, and view test results. Doctors are increasingly offering telehealth appointments, treating patients via a video conference. So much can be taken care of without even stepping foot inside a doctor's office. It isn't just the doctor's office that is benefiting from innovation. From hospitals to medicine, medical devices, and more, the whole field of healthcare is transforming. This innovation is not only about new technology. Innovation in health system organization, for example, how doctors are consulted, how monitoring is done, and how diagnoses are established and shared, and how prevention takes place is also improving. Let's look at a few simple examples of how innovation is transforming healthcare, both from the patient's perspective as well as the doctor's. For patients, AI is being trained to identify skin cancer using thousands of images of malignant melanomas to more accurately detect cancer. Robotics are being used to replace missing limbs, and aid the paralyzed. 3D printing is revolutionizing organ transplants and tissue repair, and it's even able to produce realistic skin for burn victims. Targeted and personalized medicine using nanotechnology uses the patient's own cells to better treat disease. Connected and cognitive devices can gather, store, and transmit real-time data, and lots of it. Portable, wearable, ingestible, and implantable devices can monitor health information for personalized treatment. For doctors, blockchain technology is being tested as a more secure method to share and store patients' medical records while protecting patient confidentiality. Digital healthcare records automatically incorporate results and notes from different providers with no delayed requests for records or decisions made on incomplete information. 3D printing is being used to customize surgical instruments for specific surgeries. AI is being paired with infrared technology to scan a patient's body to make sure veins visible to improve the accuracy of blood draws or IV insertions. Big data and analytics are being used to identify patients who are better candidates for highly targeted therapies. Virtual reality is being used to help guide surgical incisions to be more accurate before the surgeon makes a single cut. Perhaps one of the greatest advancements in medicine is in the field of genomics, the study of genes. Over the past 2 decades, the cost of gene sequencing or mapping DNA for diagnosis and curative purposes has fallen rapidly, from $100 million per genome in 2001 and about $1,000 today. The relatively low cost means that more genomes are being sequenced, leading to larger data sets for genetic research and thus the development of new applications. All of the work in the field of genetics has been made possible to predict, diagnose, and treat diseases more precisely and personally than ever before. New insights into the genetic causes of disease are making it possible to develop novel therapies that work more precisely with far better outcomes. While many medications have been designed to treat symptoms of diseases, new drugs target the genetic drivers. Instead of treating a disease with a one-size-fits-all approach, new, more personalized therapies are used that are more often cost-effective and have fewer side effects. These advances are helping to fight diseases such as cystic fibrosis, hepatitis C, and cancer. Today, we discussed key trends and innovations that we believe will help lead to a more prosperous tomorrow. We covered how the pace of progress is speeding up across the globe, how new markets can create new opportunities, how innovation improves our everyday lives. We'll close with how to invest in the future today. We believe some of the most important, powerful, and persistent investment themes are those where human ingenuity is at the forefront. And we believe innovation is here to stay and should drive growth in the years to come. We believe the time to invest in the future is now. While I'm not showing you any specific products, as I don't typically do, I will say that there are many ways to access these thematic trends. Carefully consider the risks associated with these types of investments and have a financial plan that is integrated with your investment plan to focus on what level of risk and what portion of your portfolio would be appropriate for your own circumstances. A great way to benchmark whether or not some of these themes we discussed here today might be suitable for you is to take our risk quiz online for those of you that are not clients. You'll receive a link to our risk quiz in the follow-up email. You can also visit budwealth.com and click on the link that says Try Riskalyze. Schedule a complimentary follow-up session to get your questions answered on your own specific situation. Visit budwealth.com and schedule a meeting via phone, video, or in person. For those of you attending that are not clients, as your life unfolds and your goals evolve, our client life process continues to be refined in each of these areas to help assist in reaching client goals. Email us with your mailing address and we will send you our introductory kit for those that would like to learn more about my firm and our client life process. You can also request our introductory kit on budwealth.com at the very bottom of the home page. Thank you again for attending this presentation on The Future Is Now. I hope you found it helpful.